Hey everyone, and welcome to our Q&A presented by Just Love. My name is Paula Jane and I'm talking to Judy Carroll. Judy is an internationally known author. Her books include The Zeta Message, Human by Day, Zeta by Night, Extraterrestrial Presence on Earth, Lessons in History, and her now most recent book, a Kindle edition published on March the 4th, 2021, An Interview with an Alien, Comments by an Undercover ET. Welcome, Judy, and congratulations on your new book.
Hi, Paula. Hi, everyone. And thanks for that, Paula. It's been a long time in coming out, but it's out at last, and with a second one due to be released shortly also.
Well, a lot to talk about today. Can't wait to get into the content of An Interview with an Alien, Comments by an Undercover ET. But first, you have something else that you would like to address today.
Yes, Dr. Stephen Greer has put up a short 20-minute video warning of a potential faked alien attack coming hard on the heels of all the chaos and fear caused by the COVID. I'll include the link with this clip, plus a couple of other extremely important ones that I'll also talk about.
That'll be good. So what did you think on hearing this message?
Okay, my first thought was, no doubt about the cabal controllers down here. Their timing is spot on. What they're obviously planning on doing is to turn the fear screw up another notch. Any so-called alien invasion is not real. It's all able to be fake right here.
So does Mars have any input into this? Does he want to have a say?
He just basically urges us to stay strong, not get drawn into the fear, and keep putting the message out there that the genuine ETs are not here to attack, invade, or hurt anybody. They only want to see Earth-plane humanity come through this in one piece. Please know that the negative ET information is not real, it's pure disinformation. And talk about so-called coincidences and help from upstairs. Dr. Carroll, who is mentioned in Stephen Greer's video, is a good friend of mine, and she's now contacted me about this. She's spoken for many years about the planned weaponization of space and the fear-mongering surrounding the ETs as really being an excuse to place weapons above our heads, aimed both at us and also at any ETs coming here to try to help. I'll talk more about this in a moment.
So it would appear that the possibility of a so-called alien invasion could play out, and quite soon.
Yes, Paula, what Stephen Greer talks about on the video was told to me many years ago by Carroll. She was a missile consultant with NASA, by the way, that's who she is. And she spoke to me regarding a prediction made by her former NASA boss, Dr. Werner von Braun, back in the 1970s, that 3 threats were to be played out in the coming years that would serve to control humanity through fear. The first was the rise of communism, the second the rise of terrorism, and the third a faked alien invasion. We've seen the first 2 play out, causing major fear in the form of racial and religious intolerance, dividing humanity against itself. The third has been planned since the 1940s. To quote from Carroll's website, the late Dr. Werner von Braun warned decades ago that the last card would be played. This card falsely identifies beings and craft as the next enemy, whom we should build weapons of war for fighting in space. It's being played right now. Carroll has promoted the non-weaponization of space for many years and now has around 100 countries on board. A big problem is that people don't believe that seemingly off-planet technology exists here on Earth, but it does. The agenda of the Earth-based controllers is to divide and conquer through fear, bottom line. And way too many researchers, investigators and UFO groups are being fooled and sucked in by this concept of negative aliens. Fear and drama sell and make money. They draw crowds to UFO conferences, sell books and movies and promote YouTube clips. Earth humans seem to need to have an enemy, the old them and us mindset. This is why things have gone the way they have on Earth and caused the mess we find ourselves in right now.
Yeah. And this is the reason why the message in our Just Love series has always been to choose love. Choosing love over fear is paramount now. We actually created the Just Love Q&A especially due to the fact that this predicted so-called fake alien invasion could very possibly play out. We have used Judy's book, Extraterrestrial Presence on Earth, as a guide for Judy to highlight the message that her star family has for humanity. It always comes back to love.
Yes, the bottom line is we create our reality through the way we think. As I talk about in my Extraterrestrial Presence on Earth book, humanity on Earth has been brainwashed for millennia into believing in and blindly following the divide and conquer concept. It's kept Earth plane humanity at war with itself for thousands of years. Humanity has never been allowed to move past the herd instinct of the animal kingdom, in which different automatically means danger and enemy. This is not how universal humanity operates and is what keeps us down at level 1 of the human ladder. We need to evolve to a more peaceful planetary society.
So, Judy, you've known about this prediction for quite some time, and it doesn't surprise you that this is going to play out?
Oh, yes, I have. It's just been a waiting game as to when it would begin. And of course, my off-planet family, the Greys, are the ones who've been set up as the enemy because they don't fit the Earth-human standard of beauty. The off-planet reptoid folks have copped it unfairly too. This has been set in motion since the 1940s and 50s. I recall reading an article many years ago in a UFO research organisation's magazine written by an associate of George Adamski, the famous contactee of around the 1950s, who used to fill halls with his lectures. The article went something to the effect of, to quote, George Adamski's off-planet contacts were tall, blonde, perfected human beings, not the bug-eyed monsters being reported on now. Of course, those bug-eyed monsters that he was referring to is my ET family, the Greys, who are insectoids. What people don't realise is that there's a link between Adamski's tall, blonde, perfected human-like beings and the Aryan ideal of Nazism. Yeah. These ships seen in the 1950s were from right here on Earth and connected to an inner Earth-based group known as the Thule Society. This is why Hitler was so adamant about finding an entrance to the inner Earth. They in turn were connected with two mystical secret societies in Japan, known as the Black Dragons and the Green Dragons. These were the ones responsible for bringing Japan into World War II. The controllers were behind all three of these underground groups, and the ultimate plan was an overt takeover of Earth. Hitler was basically their puppet.
Yes, I believe there is this unfinished business or ongoing business for these controllers. The book, The Secret Journey to Planet Serpo, by In Len Kasten, alludes to this. In it, he explains how World War II never really came to an end and that there's been an underground agenda at play all along. It seems that this may be coming to a head right now with this so-called alien invasion threatening to play out. So, Judy, can you tell us a little bit more about the Serpo book, what's in it that will help us to understand that this has been in the making since what most of us believe the end of World War II?
Yes, in Len Kasten's book, The Secret Journey to Planet Serpo, the so-called reptilians are named as being behind these secret societies driving World War II, hence the names Black Dragons and Green Dragons. In actual fact, it was the reptarian controllers that I talk about at length in my ET Presence book. They're not from off-planet, they're a much more ancient Earth human culture that was originally developed by an off-planet group using a biped dinosaur species as base stock, as opposed to modern-day humanity that was developed out of primate stock. The reptarians hijacked the planet eons ago and continue to incarnate down here, now usually in Earth human form. They're the ones responsible for working through the Thule Society to pass anti-gravity technology on to the Nazis, who, contrary to popular belief, were not defeated at the end of World War II. They just went underground in the Antarctic. The Serpo book goes into great detail about this. There they continued developing this technology, which is often mistaken for genuine off-planet ships. Surely people have wondered about the clunky-looking ship that George Adamski photographed. Other contactees also saw and interacted with human-like beings from these ships, which remind me of the so-called Nazi Bell. If I remember rightly, there was even some meetings between these supposed extraterrestrials and authorities down here. Now, I know some people will be upset by this and not want to believe me, because a number of popular space brother cults started up in the 50s and 60s in connection with this. My purpose in speaking out is not to cause upset, but rather to wake people up to the level of deception that's been going on since the 1940s and 50s, and still continues today with the MyLabs, the military abductions, and their now improved technology.
Yeah. So can you remind us a little bit more about these MyLabs? Who is carrying them out? What are they up to? Obviously, they're trying to scare the pants off us by instilling fear into the masses. What is their ultimate agenda?
The military abductions, known as MyLabs, have been orchestrated by the controllers behind the military-industrial complex. They involve faked abductions, seemingly by ETs, in which hypnosis, drugs, mind control, holographic imagery and biorobotic life forms are used. These life forms have been developed right here on Earth using genetic material taken from the bodies of genuine ETs who've died in ships that have been shot down by the controllers. Stephen Greer refers to them as PLFs, programmed life forms.
Okay.
Some people who've been targeted in MyLabs are also having genuine ET contact, so it's extremely confusing and frightening for them. These fake contact experiences are specifically aimed at demonising the Greys, and the bioengineered life forms are created to resemble the Greys. This is aimed at interfering with any genuine intervention from off-planet. The controllers have operated covertly for millennia. Now they want overt control. The MyLabs are a political and military way to maintain control of humanity, and fundamentalist religion is another way. This is why they too demonise the genuine Greys. This massive fear and disinformation campaign aimed at the genuine ETs brings us back to my latest book, now out on Kindle. It's a commentary based on a book published back in 2007 by Lawrence Spencer entitled Alien Interview. My book is entitled An Interview with an Alien, Comments by an Undercover ET. I read Spencer's book some years ago and found a small amount of quite good legitimate information contained in it that I knew from my own connection with the Greys, but I was disappointed by the huge amount of disinformation, contradictions and just plain nonsense presented. It's proven to be an extremely popular book, translated into around 10 languages, but much of the information in it is completely wrong, presenting a very negative and inaccurate view of off-planet people and portraying the universe as a battleground. It's basically Star Wars type fiction, but so many people have been fooled by it. It deals with the Roswell crash, so is very significant with what's going on down here right now, but the picture it paints is so wrong. As part of a blended soul consciousness, I have a connection with the Zeta Greys who were involved with the Roswell event. So this book worried me deeply, and I wanted to write a commentary on it for a long time, but I was so busy with writing extraterrestrial presence on Earth, I just didn't have the time or energy needed to tackle it. But now it's done.
Yay!
I've also written a companion volume entitled Cosmic Spirituality, Blending Religion and Science in Oneness from a Universal Perspective. Through this book, I'm presenting a much more accurate picture of universal spirituality than has been portrayed in the original Alien Interview book. I've written my commentary with all due respect to Lawrence Spencer. Right at the beginning of his book, he makes no claims on the truth or accuracy of the material. He basically just edited it and presented it from pages of information sent to him, supposedly by an American military nurse by the name of Matilda McElroy, who claimed to have had telepathic communication with a survivor of the Roswell crash. Spencer clearly states that he never met Matilda McElroy face to face and only ever knew her as a voice over the phone. Before starting on my commentary, I contacted him asking if he'd be interested in working on the book with me, but he declined.
Well, there certainly are some interesting parallels going on with all of this. And it seems to me that the timing is quite amazing with all that's going on right now, with the potential faked alien invasion on top of all the other deceit being carried out by the controllers down here. So if you've enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends and family and subscribe to our channel. And just to remind you, Judy's books are available on Amazon and Kindle, and links that Judy has noted in this episode will be included with this clip. So God bless and bye for now.